My name is Paul Catungal. Everyone calls me JP. I was at the University of Toronto between 2006 and 2013 as a graduate student. So I did my master's and PhD at U of T in the geography department. Yeah, I was pretty involved in QR, planning events, facilitating certain workshops or certain panel discussions. As you know, QR's programming changed from year to year. There was a year of panels. There were years of more informal community conversations. There was a year or two of film screenings. It should also be worth noting that Marilyn Delphic, along with Ralph, the two of them working together really made QR vibrant. Marilyn was really crucial in supporting QR's work. And I say that in terms of providing QR with literal space, like we would hold events at St. Michael's at the dining hall or in one of the meeting rooms at St. Michael's. She used her capacity working at St. Michael's to also provide us some food and some financial support to keep QR going. She also used her kind of connections to the community to bring speakers in to talk to QR about issues related to our interests. So she was also really central. One of the things I remember quite a lot is Marilyn's smile. There is something warm about Marilyn's person and the way that she really made space for QR. And part of that is through her own being with people. The film screenings were particularly important events in QR's evolution as a student group that, tried to reach the broader community. There were a couple of years when we did film screenings, and in the first year, we programmed, I think it was 4 films, and the attendance was great. It was drawn from a broader kind of swath of the broader Toronto community. So that was nice. I feel like that was QR breaching the bounds of the University of Toronto itself, which for a long time had been kind of its main focus. The attempt to connect to the broader community was really, really interesting. We tried to bring in folks from the community a lot. I suppose part of it was us trying to get a sense of how folks are living the intersection of religion and sexuality in their daily lives and in their daily work. Food was always central to QR. The function of food was to also make QR very much an embodied experience. And food not only in terms of the taste, absolutely, but also in terms of the smell. And so sharing a meal together, as you know, is very much an important kind of theological or religious practice, right? Breaking bread together from a Christian kind of perspective, but not solely Christian. And so there was a continuity between the kind of the embodied nature of food and the embodied nature of QR conversations, but also the embodied nature of religious practice, which many of us who are involved in QR grew up with. There was soup and salad and sandwiches. It was very calming and very warm feeling that the soup elicited. Other sensorial things that happened with QR, seeing familiar faces upon entering was always nice, giving folks hugs. I don't have a specific recollection of this, but I have no doubt that tears were shed, kind of collectivized sharing of emotions that way, very much a sensorial, interpersonal kind of connection that happened. The community kind of orientation of QR, that was really important. The intersection of religion and sexuality, I realized in joining QR, that's not just an individual journey. QR really ensured for me the understanding that this is a journey that one can have with folks who are thinking through and living similar kind of dilemmas or intersections. So it wasn't just gay men, although there was a lot of gay men in the group, and that's one limitation that we should probably address. But there were also lesbians, bisexual folks, trans people. QR has done a really good job, but in some ways, it has been imperfect. As a space, QR very much male dominated. How do we ensure that we don't replicate the kind of patriarchal, male centered, cis male centered patterns, both in religious and queer spaces? There is also sometimes a worry that QR might be very Christian centered, and with that, white, despite the fact that many of us were, as Catholics or as Christians, came from countries or cultures whose Christianities were born out of colonialism. Thinking also about diversity of faiths, ensuring that we had folks who could speak to other faith traditions and therefore to other theologies and histories and lived realities. One cannot assume the stability of something like a community. It always needs to be held together. It needs to be performed and practiced into being. Community can be both affirming and oppressive, in part because some of the things that might enable a community to flourish or to form can be to the exclusion of others. And so community is fraught. In it exists the presence of contradiction. It's always something that needs to be negotiated. There needs to be a certain kind of reflexivity around how we define it, who is being excluded from it, and what we're going to do to rectify that. One thing that hasn't come up is how fun it was, really, to be part of this community, to meet people, to see them regularly, to share food with them. I wish some of that would still exist for folks in the future, because this space was all really life-giving.